Hey there, and welcome to the second episode of Burt's Bees, the bees who belong to Burt. Today, we'll be unpacking the leadership hierarchy and the themes found in the cinematic masterpiece Kung Fu Panda. Join us as we psychoanalyze Po the Panda, Master Shifu, Tai Lung, and the late Master Oogway. On that note, as a disclaimer, this episode does contain spoilers.
To make something special, you just have to believe it's special. This scene is a major point in the movie where we understand that it is not about one's technical ability, but about the confidence. If you believe it, anything is possible. This scene is the shift that allows Po to become the true dragon warrior through the guidance of his father.
Leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. This prophesizes Po's role as dragon warrior and is really a callback to Master Oogway and Shifu's role in his life, but a great introduction into how psychology of leadership and Kung Fu Panda can come together to create a really interesting narrative.
Leadership is love is a quality seen throughout life, throughout our leadership class, and throughout Kung Fu Panda. It is defined as the degree of concern one has for tasks, teams, others, and for self. It's seen throughout the movie as fighting against evil, teamwork, and a general love quality of the movie. Integrity is another value seen throughout the movie. We define it as consistency between one's values and behavior, and the degree to which one is willing to do the right thing. Po is the best example throughout the movie. He is ethically sound and is consistent with his values and behaviors.
So beginning with B up, you have to start with digestion. And digestion can be seen through Po making the realization from his father that the dragon scroll didn't hold any power, but that it was a reflection of himself, and that he had to find the power within him to do what it takes to succeed and defeat the villain. As for balance, Po doesn't set many boundaries within the movie, but does know what is important to him, shown through montages of wanting to eat food, but also knows what is right and fights for that. Momentum can be seen in Kung Fu Panda through Po, as he's motivated by his dream to become a Kung Fu master. Now, as for locus of control, at the beginning of the movie, Po begins as an external, thinking everything is happening on him, whether it's his burdens from his father in the noodle shop, or trying to get into the stadium to see the fight. But throughout the movie, he begins to have an internal locus of control, finally at the end of the movie learning that he holds the power he needs to do whatever he wants, not something external.
Master Shifu utilized the situational approach to leadership when training Po to be the Dragon Warrior. At first, he was putting Po through rigorous training that he had done with the Furious Five, but it was not proving successful. After seeing that Po was actually very talented when it came to food, such as when he climbed up to grab the cookies, he began training him using food, like grabbing dumplings in the bowl. He first had a more coaching-oriented focus of training since Po had low ability and commitment, but later transitions to more directing as Po becomes more committed to becoming the Dragon Warrior.
Let's talk primal inclination strategies, finding your life's task. The first strategy is having a profound connection and deep interest in your passions. The entire narrative arc in Kung Fu Panda is Po's relationship with his art of Kung Fu and his primal love for food. When life in the temple was discouraging, and Po was feeling kind of a bit of imposter syndrome with being the dragon warrior without any skill, it changes when his training was incentivized by food. When Po reconnects with his childhood love for food, he finds his motivation to perform, and the primitive attraction sparks, and he's once again on his life's path. Second inclination strategy is avoiding the false path. Po is attracted to Kung Fu because it's his destiny, but the art does correspond with his deepest inclinations, which makes following the path more natural once he gets into it. The third strategy is letting go of the past. Po does not rely on conventional methods of training, as we spoke about before. Po lets go of tradition and his past ways of doing things by adapting to his own needs and his love for food helps him become the best dragon warrior he can. The fourth is finding your way back. Po flees the temple after he comes to the realization that he's the only one to save the village, but Master Shifu stops him. After an awkward conversation about expectations and limitations of Po, Shifu helps Po find his way back.
Throughout the film, Po was very lacking in any technical skills, even during training. He had some when it came to food, which gave Master Shifu the idea of training techniques for him, but as for Kung Fu, he did not have any experience until the very end of the film. He excels in his human skills, being able to become friends with the Furious Five, and eventually getting close with Master Shifu despite how they treated him towards the beginning. As for Master Shifu, he excels in both technical and conceptual skills, being a Kung Fu master himself under Master Oogway, as well as being the master of the Furious Five. However, he is very lacking in human skills. When Po first entered the temple, he was very cold to Po, putting him through difficult training and situations despite his skill level. Even though Master Oogway asked him to train Po, he was very hesitant at first and was cold to Po. Master Oogway excels in all three aspects, having high technical, human, and conceptual skills. He has proven his skills as a Kung Fu master. He is well loved and respected by everyone who follows him, especially Master Shifu, and was the one to convince Po to continue his journey to become the Dragon Warrior after he got discouraged by Master Shifu and the Furious Five. Lastly, Tigress has a very high technical skill but low human skills. She had proven her skills in Kung Fu and seemed like the next person to become the Dragon Warrior before Po entered the temple, but her human skills are not that great. She was very cold to Po at first, and even seemed to not open up much to the other members of the Furious Five, even though they fought together for so long.
There's an obvious leadership hierarchy in Kung Fu Panda, but I believe it happens in two phases. The first phase has Master Oogway at the top as he imposes his visions upon Shifu, and Shifu is the one to impose goals and tasks to the Furious Five. When Po is introduced to the group, he had low commitment, low ability, and that pushed him out to the outgroup. And Tai Lung, obviously with his banishment from lashing out against Oogway, that also threw him out into the outgroup as well. At the end of the movie, there's a shift. Po is able to be accepted into the Furious Five because he's able to increase his commitment, increase his ability, and with Tai Lung still being in the outgroup because of his banishment, side thing. But another detail you need to focus on in this finale leadership hierarchy is Master Oogway's presence. As alluded to earlier, Master Oogway passed away, but his vision and his presence is still very evident throughout the end of the movie, and he's still able to impose a vision upon Shifu. So there's still a subtle hierarchy up there, but it's still important to acknowledge.
Po's ultimate goal and dream throughout the movie was to become a Kung Fu master. He idolized the Furious Five and other Kung Fu masters, learning their specialties and Kung Fu technique. He even had his own collection of the Furious Five action figures.
Within Kung Fu Panda, most aspirations are centered around Po, our main character. He states and strives to be like his idols, the Furious Five. Aspirations are also exhibited by Po in the beginning when he attempts and succeeds at getting over the wall to see the competition between the Furious Five. This progresses the plot and gets him to be chosen to be the Dragon Warrior. Aspiration can also be seen in a character like Tigress, who also aspires to be the Dragon Warrior and begins to have conflict with him. Because of Po's aspirations, the movie is allowed to progress and show his ability to adapt in unlikely circumstances. Inspiration is showcased through many layers in Kung Fu Panda. It starts at the top with Oogway, as he inspires Shifu to be the master that he is, and continues to show subordination to him, and as a follower to Oogway. Shifu acts as inspiration for many characters within the movie. He acts as motivation to Po, as he's a fearsome leader and someone who's very talented. He leads the Furious Five as their master and trainer to make sure they are the strongest they can be.
Throughout the movie, Po has many idols who model kung fu skills. In the end, Po is left to save the valley and demonstrate his abilities as the Dragon Warrior. He defeats Tai Lung with a difficult kung fu move and proves himself, therefore modeling his success and setting an example for others.
Persuasion is leading people towards a common goal. The common goal or vision can be determined by the leader, but in this case, it is acting on behalf of Shifu's vision. And this persuasion looks like taking action for others and ultimately demonstrating potential for self, which is seen in the ending of Kung Fu Panda when Po really proves himself by defeating Tai Lung. But this involves convincing others to buy your methods, learn your fishing method, and it's getting others to work for you to achieve your dreams, your goals, your visions. Getting others to evacuate the village so a fight can go down, so the village can be saved. This gift shows the appreciation the village had for Poe's persuasion that eventually and ultimately saved the town.